So you can see here we've also got a sitemap where we've got our core, formulas, schedules, Xcash records. So we'll just click on formula. So we use an entity in CRM to store all the formulas. So it works just like you'd expect within CRM. So it's a very native UI. And the first example I'm going to show you today is around eligibility. So eligibility is very common in CRM type projects, and what eligibility is like, do you qualify or are you entitled to something? And in this case, we're a financial services company is the example, and they're working out, are you eligible for a platinum credit card? So this is just for new people who might not have seen North52 before. This is the editing experience that we have within Dynamics CRM to be able to create your formulas. And for like 95%, you never have to leave this screen. So you can configure the vast majority of your business rules just in this one screen. It's very, very powerful. It's broken up into three main sections. So you can see here on the right-hand side, we have what we call the registration, or when is the formula or the business rule going to be triggered. So it's got a save perform action is this type, which really means it's going to be a plugin in effect. It's going to execute on the server side. It could be client side as well. We've got that capability if you needed to do it, like in the on-change event of a field in a form. And then we have got all the events. So this one is just create an update. So, but you can configure others. We then say which entity do we want the trigger to be placed on. So this one is just contact, and we've got all custom entities as well, as you'd expect. And then you can also specify exactly when does this decision table execute. So it'll only be if the annual income changes, if the credit score changes, or if the total assets of the applicant changes. So if any one of those three change on the contact entity, we'll execute the decision table. So, and that's really for performance issues. You can make it, really zone into when you want it to execute. Then we get to the main logic, which you can see here is the decision table. So it kind of looks like Excel. It's a very familiar look and feel to people. So what we've done is we've got columns and rows. So we've got these conditions, and we have actions. So we have a condition, and we have one here called annual income, total assets of applicant, and credit score. And then we have a row, and this row makes up the kind of the rule that you want to implement. So this row that I've highlighted, it says if the annual income is less than 100,000 and the total assets of the contact is less than 500,000, then they need to have a really high credit score of 188. And if it is, so if these are all true, then there's an option set on the contact entity called credit card type, and we set that to platinum. So that means they're entitled, they're eligible for a platinum one. And then just down the bottom, if you have over $200,000 as a salary and you've got over $1 million in assets, then you need a much lower credit score. So it's just 112, and will allow you to become a platinum card holder. So that's pretty cool. So let me just give you a quick demo, just showing you that. So I go to sales, go to contacts, and open up Scott. Hopefully he's blank. He is, yeah. So if we just put in an annual income of 50,000, assets of 250,000, and a credit score of 176, let's say, and I hit save. So that should work out. So what's happening when I hit save is the decision table is executed behind the scenes. And actually you can see that this one, he didn't actually qualify as a platinum. Because there's another decision table there, he actually qualified as gold. So actually if I just increase this to 678, hit save. So you can see when I upped the credit score, it went to the other decision table, kicked in, overrode the gold one, and it set it to platinum. So that's just showing you to in operation. So just some of the items to call out on the decision table. When a business rule changes, So somebody comes back and they say this decision table looks good, but we forgot to add in that you need to be over 18 years of age to qualify for a credit card. So we need to add in that condition, that new condition, into the decision table. Now, age is a number, like 18 years of age, 25 years of age. So we don't store that number. We don't have a field in CRM to do that. With the latest version of CRM, you can actually put a calculated field on there and put a formula in there to do it. But then you're creating a field and you're only allowed so many on your entity, and in a real world environment, you're going to run out very, very quickly. So what we can do is we can allow you to extend the data model and create that type of calculated field just for this decision table. And this will all execute in memory, so it'll be super, super fast. So what we do is we go to calculations and we say we want a calculation called age. And what we can do is, so the third part is over here on the left-hand side, we've got functions, source, and explore. So you can see all our functions here. So I'm going to search for the date diff function. And again, some of you might know this search feature is a new feature that's going to be released on Monday. Because we're getting like over 300 functions, we said we really needed a search facility to see what functions we have. So we bring in date diff. So you can see when I hover over the date diff, it gives me just some contextual help. So I can see I need a from date, a to date, and I need an interval. So the interval I want is years. And it gives you some examples as well. So I'm going to put in here the from date. So the from date, we want the date of birth of the contact. So, is he over 18? So go to source and see all the nodes I have. So I go to source and I scroll down. I'm going to find birthday. So this is like the out-of-the-box field from Dynamics CRM. So you can see it brings that into the calculation. And the to date. So what I need to do, I need to get the current date time. And I actually need to get to UTC time because it's stored in UTC in the database. So I go back to functions and I can just type in UTC and I can click on UTC date time. Yep. So that brings in that function. And then we've just put in Y for years. So let's do home. So we've now just extended the data model and are after adding in an extra field called age based on a formula. So now I can go back to my decision table. And you can see here we have this, I just right-clicked on the decision table. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a new condition. So I bring in the condition. Then I go back to my source. And if you look under, where is it, calculations, I can click age. And now I've just brought that age, that calculation into the decision table. So now it's pretty easy. I just need to do greater than 18 and just bring that down. So now you can see that I've just extended the decision table to say that you have to be over 18 years of age to be able to qualify for a platinum or for any credit card. Just one other item as well. Let me just kill this one. So you can see here we've got a set of menu options, insert row, insert condition, action, delete row, so I'm going to take the delete column. So one of the items I just wanted to show you is, how easy it is to create these decision tables from scratch. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to copy this into my clipboard and then delete it. And then just delete all this. So how would we, if I was at a blank canvas, I just want to kind of show you the experience. So the first one we needed was their annual income. So again, how would you build it from scratch? So we'd go to source, and again, it's just all point and click. And they're all here. So I find annual income. I bring in the annual income. Then the next one was the total assets of the applicant. Total assets. Bring in that value. And then condition, the last one was the credit score. So let's find the credit score. Credit score, John. There he is. So these are our conditions. And then we would go ahead and we would write the rules. So I'll just Control V those in there, just to save time. And just to call out that I guess most people can work out, we have 500,000 here to 1 million. So anything in double brackets is a betweens. So that's just like a shortcut to be able to do that. And then we need to set up the action. So what's it on that? So we have here's the option set for that. So we bring in the credit card type, and then you can see here we've got all the options on the option set. So gold, platinum, and standard. So I bring in platinum. So that's pretty cool. And then I drop that down, and there. So I've just recreated that decision table. So hopefully you can see there how easy it was to do it. And actually, I meant to call out sooner. There are, in this basic one, there are 36 decision points. So you have 3 columns and you have 12 rows. 12 threes, 36. So the decision tables really represent, lots of business points and decisions in a very compact format, and it's easy to see. And actually, if I just want to add back in that condition, let's just back in the age quickly. Add in age greater than 18, and then that a bit longer. So then the next business rule, the next, it's a month later, and they say to the dev team, we need to, whenever somebody gets assigned a platinum card, we need to do a follow-up workflow to send out some documentation that they need to sign. So we need to, and the team already have a workflow that does that, and they're manually kicking it off. But they said, why can't we just build it into the decision table itself? So how can we call a workflow? So we've got our actions. So if I go to actions and we'll give it a name, send paperwork. So we do send paperwork. Then we'll go back to functions. So we have a function. So we have a function called execute workflow. So I'm able to bring that in. So I just need to type in the name. And actually, one of the really cool things about North52 is, nearly everything goes off names. So there's all these issues around goods, and if you've got a workflow and it references a team inside in the workflow, there's a GUID assigned to that behind the scenes. So when you deploy it from your development system to your production system, the workflow will actually break. We take care of all those types of issues for you seamlessly. So we really do try to make your life a lot easier. And then we need to pass in the GUID of the record. So if we go back to source, and I'm going to go to we're on the contact entity, so we need to GUID of the contact. So contact. So I'll bring that in there. We just do the mute again. Just kill people off. So now you've just seen that I've brought in an action to execute the workflow, send paper. Actually, send paperwork. So now I can go back to my decision table, and I can add in an action. And I just go up to source. For my actions now, I've got send paperwork. And I can drag that down. So you can see how easy it was just to extend the decision table to start sending a workflow when the conditions were met. And then it might be, actions, if their annual income is over 2 million, they're a big spender, let's say. So you might have a slightly different workflow for those guys. You can see how easy it is for me. You can see how easy it is for me just to be able to add that in. So just for this one, I'm going to get rid of that, and we bring in big spender. So you can see how we just slightly changed it for someone that's over an annual income over $200,000. So hopefully you can see, trying to make your life a lot easier. So this all looks pretty good right now. Most people would be happy with that, and this is fantastic functionality, but can we do better? So one of the things is the data, all the values are hard-coded. So if we look here at the credit score, these are all hard-coded into the decision table. So we wouldn't consider that a best practice. What we really want to be able to do is separate the the logic of the decision table and the underlying data, so that if the credit scores change, you don't change the logic of the decision table. You don't go and edit the decision table. You just change the underlying data, and that's great for separation of concerns, because you might have kind of like your dev team looking after the decision table itself, but the BAs or the functional consultants, they can modify the data, so like the credit scores. So it's great for separation of concerns. And a typical thing with credit scores is the scores we're looking at right now might be the 2015 scores. But when 2016 comes along, there might be a different set of scores. So how do you do that seamlessly within the decision table, and to have it just work? So what we can do, so let me just go back to my list of formulas. So let me just open up the gold card one, where I've just slightly extended it to pick up on this notion of configuration data. And what we're going to be using is Xcache behind the scenes to store all this configuration data. So you can separate the two apart. So you can see this is the decision table for a gold card, very, very similar to the first one, except instead of hard coding in the values, you can see here I'm using an Xcache reference. So you can see like eligibility gold card tier 1. So if I actually get rid of that and just show you how I brought it in, so it's greater than, and again if I go under, there's Xcache, the eligibility gold card. So you can see here all my configuration data. So I can just bring in tier 1, and then you just do the same for all the others. So that's now, we've just separated the two concerns. So what that looks like in CRM itself. So if I just go settings, Xcache. So here you can see, let me just highlight for you. Here's our configuration data for that gold card for the eligibility, and you can see here's the scores: 88 for tier 1, 80 for tier 2. So it's not hard coded anymore into the decision table. So if I just show you and open up one of these, so that there's a lot to Xcache and what it can do, and so I'm just going to keep it really simple for this one. Just there's a category and there's a base key. There's some other items here, and what we have is we have a value. So we've set it to 88, and we've set the data type. So this one just so happens to be whole number. If you needed it secure for some reason, we do have a secured area to store the values, like for passwords and items like that. And we're just using field FLS, field level security from Microsoft to do that. But one of the interesting things is this start date. So you can see that this Xcache record is effective from 1/1/2015 onwards. So if I just go back, so you'll see here that the start date, all the Xcache records are set to the start of this year. So what would we do if the credit card scores change in 2016? How do we handle that? How would a functional consultant handle that? And this is one of the great advantages for North52 being native to Dynamics CRM, is we can take advantage of a lot of the features that Microsoft bring out. So if I just do a quick filter, so just those ones, and then I can do export to Excel Online. And what I can do here is I can come in and I can just select the data, Control C, Control V. So now I've just duplicated my data. So the 2016 scores, I'm just going to make them up obviously for right now. So there's the 2016 scores, and then I just need to come over and I just need to manipulate the dates. So I need to close off this year, 31/12. That's the other way around, isn't it? 12/31/2015, and then I would just copy that all the way down for the existing records, and then for the new ones, I just come in 1/1/2016, and obviously copy that down for all those as well. And then you would just click the Save to Changes in CRM, so it would upload that Xcache data into CRM. So the great advantage is, just go back here, this reference, eligibility gold card tier 1, when we're in the 2015 year, Xcache is smart enough to know I need to pull the 2015 credit score. But as soon as we tick over into 1/1/2016, it will start to use the 2016 credit score, so like 123, and we'll just do that for you automatically and seamlessly. So very, very powerful around the configuration parts for that. The next part, so just wanted to show you, people always ask us, can you do like OR statements in the decision tables? So just to give you an example of that, insert condition, I'll do that one. Go back to my source. So let's say the freight terms, or shipping method would be a better one. So if you wanted to be able to, so let's bring in that field. So let's say you want to be able to do a match on airborne and DHL, that's all you need to do. And you can bring in another one like FedEx. So you can just add in, and then it'll do, if it's equal to any one of those, then it'll equal true overall. So very, very powerful for that. If I just delete that column, the other item I just wanted to call out was, how do we handle null data or empty values? If you're familiar with North52, you probably know what I'm kind of going to show you. You can toggle the advanced mode. So in the advanced mode, you can see here's the underlying field, and you can see here's .0. So that means we've applied a default. If somebody forgot to enter in the annual amount, it might throw an exception in the code depending on what you're doing. We're just going to set a default of 0. And we've done the same for the assets and the credit score itself. So that's just how defaults are set. And then the last item on this demo is, let me just hide that box, is insert a row. Sometimes there's the need that as part of the decision table, you need to be able to do an action just once at the very start of the processing. And so what you can do is you can actually put in an action here. This might be, I don't actually have any here, do I? No actions. But you can put in like an action, we might have done a squiggly bracket, execute paperwork. So when you define no conditions here, that means it will always execute. So typically you want that at the start to set some default values or initialize something, or call a workflow to do something. So by leaving out all the conditions, you can just automatically call your action, whatever it is. So that's very, very useful. So that's cool. So that's the eligibility example. So the next one I just want to call out to people. So that, let me just open it up first.
John, we've got a couple of questions.
Should we?
While we